Adult Swim has had an interesting couple of years, to say the least. Recently, they have expanded their reach even further into the Cartoon Network schedule, starting on weekdays as early as 4 p.m. for their newly launched Checkered Past block, a block dedicated to showing classic cartoons for the adults who remember them. Right now, just being Dexter's Lab, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. As of now, the weekly Acme Night blocks, which shows a different WB movie, cartoon, or otherwise, is now under the Adult Swim banner, probably due to the recent older audience movies they've been playing, and the fact Adult Swim shows have been used as filler after the movies is over. I've always said that Adult Swim is the best thing Cartoon Network has going for it right now, and it seems as though the current higher-ups agree with that sentiment, as Adult Swim keeps growing its power and influence. But how did this all come to pass? Well, I place it squarely on the announcement, hype, and subsequent releases of 3 original Adult Swim movies, all of which we'll be taking a look at today. Phantasm, Radiant as the Blood of the Baboon Heart, and The Army of the Doomstar were all announced to be in production back in 2021, jumpstarting life into 3 of Adult Swim's most notable and popular original franchises, 2 of which were cut down in their prime and before they could be properly ended. With the recent release of Doomstar, all 3 projects announced are finally done and consumed by their subsequent fan bases. But the question remains, which one's better? Well, that's what we're going to be looking at today. Hello, I'm the One Nerd, and today we're going to be reviewing all 3 movies of the most recent Adult Swim revival trilogy, and which one did it better. We'll be approaching this by not just looking at the movies themselves, but everything surrounding the movies, their releases, and their impact in general. And of course, we'll be starting with the first movie to be released of the 3, Aqua Teen Forever, Phantasm.
Don't let everybody laugh on me at once.
Meet one. You don't need any more dogs.
Ouch, Billy. Ouch, Bobby. Ouch, now that hurts.
We're running out of space, and judging by some of these texts, did you steal these dogs from dog owners?
I just love me some dogs. My emotions run very high when I see them, and, well, it often clouds my judgment.
Phantasm could really be considered a real testing ground for the revival movies. When the movies were announced, WB, the parent company of Adult Swim, was going through what would turn out to be a very disruptive merger, becoming Warner Bros. Discovery, and spelling doom for many incomplete and even complete projects, as well as the erasure of many others for the benefit of tax credits. Even the creators expressed worry that despite the movie being complete, it may still be scrapped like so many others. However, on November 8th, 2022, the film was in fact released on digital, 4K, and Blu-ray, making it the only movie of the trilogy to be released in the 4K format.
Whoa, damn.
Yes!
It worked.
Ignore me now, women!
In the lead up to the movie, we would see Aqua Teen shorts produced for YouTube, called Aqua Donks. These shorts would focus on a previous villain of the Aqua Teens in some fashion.
Here's them trying to jump over a sprinkler head.
Try a running start, Earth. That's how sports athletes do it. In sports.
Almost got it that time. Painful.
The movie itself borrows a plot a bit from a previous Aqua Teen episode, which, after an argument of some such, Frylock moves out of the house to live on his own, leaving the rest of the team to fend for themselves, which does not end well.
What?
Bring it in! Carlito's way!
Oh, you reek. No. We're not hugging here. Make it quick, and then I'm calling the cops.
Oh, whoa, that is hurtful. I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing, you know.
No.
And I don't feel comfortable under that bridge.
No. Get your foot out of
No!
In the actual movie, this soon morphs into a plot involving an Amazon-like tech giant taking over the neighborhood, and a botched cloning effort turning into a giant plant monster that threatens the world, with the Aqua Teens needing to reunite in order to defeat it, for some reason.
Got my hand! Need my help! Oh!
Form of a hot dog! Form of an igloo! It don't respond to hot dogs or igloos!
Anything I have to say about this movie beyond this will just be my personal feelings. It did get a lot of positive reviews when it was released, but for me, it feels like a cheap cash grab. A movie that didn't need to be made, but was done so that they could make easy money off of the property. To me, it does not seem as though the creators approached Adult Swim to make this movie because they had more to say, but rather that Adult Swim approached them to come up with something for this new initiative. One of the reasons I cite for calling it a cash grab is the use of the Moonanites as an excuse to interrupt the movie and to take up running time for the movie for random bits, some of which involve the Moonanites sending you text messages and GIFs on your actual phone while they're watching the movie.
Text is demand, one word, and then check your phone.
Whoops.
And now we've hijacked your phone. That's right, we dominate both your screens.
We are everywhere at once.
The Moonanites control all your wireless devices, including your remote control.
Don't touch it.
A gimmick that is amusing the first time, but makes less and less sense on future viewings. And since the text service will not be available for long, will be completely lost on anyone watching the movie in the future. While it's nice to see these characters again, they spend most of the movie apart, or at the very least not together as a trio, which is where their dynamic works best. Frylock spending most of the movie with the generic parody of a tech bro CEO gets old pretty fast. Needless to say, it pales in comparison to the vastly superior Aqua Teen Hunger Force : movie film for theaters. A film I can still pick up and watch every time and still enjoy and laugh my ass off. Even the deleted movie, which was mostly the same as the movie film for theaters, but with some slightly different and altered jokes and plot points, is still better than Phantasm. While these two films I have watched enough to memorize most of it, I have no desire to go back and watch Phantasm, except for the creation of this video. It's not that it's bad per se, it's just not very good despite the clear budget that was put into it, showing clearly by the fact that there are no actual reused assets from the old show, with the new movie having new expressions, animations, backgrounds, locations, and even characters. But all of this feels like gold paint to try to pretty up a rather bland script with very few jokes or interesting scenarios. I think we'll be able to gauge the success of this movie on if the supposed reboot of the series itself ends up going through as rumored. But for now, let's move on to the next movie in the trilogy.
I gotta say it. I can't hold it in. Dude, not the right time. I have to. It's just too good. Are you kidding me?
On October 7th, 2018, we would see the airing of the Season 7 finale of Venture Brothers, the ending of which would be a fairly big cliffhanger, with the credits promising that the Venture Brothers would in fact return. Unfortunately, not long after, it would be announced that Venture Brothers had been cancelled by Adult Swim. The announcement was a fairly significant blow to the fanbase, and it seemed to come out of nowhere. Many shows previously had come and gone, but even when Adult Swim mainstay Aqua Teen Hunger Force had been cancelled over a few years earlier, it had been given lots of warning and build-up for its final season. Now, another pillar of Adult Swim, airing on the block for over a decade, had been cut down. A lot of speculation had been made for the reason for the cancellation, but the fact of the matter was that the decision seemed final, and the fans were worried it may be treated like another show canceled before its time and before it was able to tell its full story, which we'll discuss later on.
Engage the Doom Cannon!
Dude, we got canceled. Forget it, it's over.
Come on, think of the fans, Doc.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. They deserve better than this creepy Pinocchio bullshit.
Don't break the puppet! Dude, we could sell it on eBay!
However, while people were still reeling from the announcement, it was made clear from several sources at Adult Swim and WB that there had been work done to attempt to bring back Venture Brothers in some capacity. And when the trilogy of Adult Swim movies was announced soon after, we had our answer.
Why do they always have to be pre-dawn, these raids? I mean, what's wrong with a nice pre-noon raid? Like a brunch raid?
The Venture Brothers movie, which would later be titled Radiant as the Blood of the Baboon Heart, would be used as a sort of continuation/finale for the Venture Brothers story, attempting to wrap up and answer some hard-hitting questions that had been left open from the previous, now series finale. The movie itself could be considered a condensed version of what would have been Season 8 of the show, or perhaps a longer version of a special that they were becoming known for airing in between seasons. Needless to say, there's not much difference between this movie compared to the series itself, but that is a good thing since the series itself was already of such high quality by this point, and despite the gap in time, all previous cast members were able to return to reprise their roles, including new guest stars like Jay Farrow, Jane Lynch, and Nina Arianda.
Watch this. Acolyte! Kill!
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Acolyte, stop. Go ahead and give her a kick. Just go ahead and kick her right in the throat meat. Hard as you want.
What? No, I don't want to kick anyone in the throat meat.
Your loss.
It's unclear if there's a possibility of more Venture Brothers adventures being produced, regardless of the success of the film, but it did leave itself open to more. However, the creators expressed that it was probably time to say goodbye to the show soon anyway. However, a full-fledged Season 8 and a special would have been a much nicer way to go out. Regardless, it is nice that we finally did get an ending to the show, in some fashion. But the Venture Brothers will still live in the hearts and minds of its fans for many years to come. However, the third and final entry of the Adult Swim movie trilogy would prove to be an even bigger impact than many would imagine. On October 27, 2013, Adult Swim would air the Metalocalypse special, Doomstar Requiem. The special was a rock opera, meant to build up the eventual finale of the series. The special itself was mired with problems in production, even having one of the main voice actors of the show, Tommy Blancha, who voiced Murderface and Toki Wartooth, not reprising his role. Regardless of the issues, the special itself was a success to fans, who eagerly awaited the eventual next part/ending to the story. Unfortunately, that never came. Adult Swim would later cancel Metalocalypse, which would spark fan campaigns to attempt to save the show. Show creator Brendan Small had expressed interest in moving the show to Hulu, and that he only needed one last special/movie in order to give the show the ending it deserved. Unfortunately, Adult Swim would ignore these requests and campaigns, even going so far as to openly mock the attempts to get the show back. In a notable example, they would encourage fans to sign a petition about bringing the show back, and that they would do so if they received 25 signatures. These petitions would be sent in by fax to the Adult Swim headquarters, where they would be shown going straight into the trash. Needless to say, Adult Swim seemed to be firm in their stance of not allowing the show to continue in any way, shape, or form, usually citing the old excuse of costs, even when offered to have the show taken off their hands so it could be finished elsewhere. This seemed to be too much for the network to handle, opting instead to focus on giving Tim and Eric another show, something. However, years later, be it a change in management, with the sudden realization that giving fans what they want can actually be profitable, a Metalocalypse finale movie was announced as part of the Adult Swim movie trilogy. However, because of the nature of the show, one finale movie would not be the only thing we would get. Along with this new movie, we would also get a new Death album released alongside it, with new original songs, some featured in the movie itself. As well, a new North American tour was announced, which kicked off around the release of the movie. At the time of this writing, the tour is still ongoing, featuring co-headliner Baby Metal. On a personal note, I was lucky enough to be able to attend the first date of the Baby Clock tour in Houston, Texas. It was an amazing experience to see both Death Clock and Baby Metal live. For those who do not know, the band is made up of show creator Brendan Small and a house band, many of which play the music on the show as well. Tours are typically accompanied by animated music videos to accompany each song, leaving the real band in the dark for most of the show to maintain the illusion that the actual band Death Clock is playing. Focusing on the movie itself, Army of the Doomstar would serve as a direct follow-up to the events of Doomstar Requiem, and the ending to the story being built since Season 1. Along with guest stars like Artist Ghost and John Hamm, it would see the return of Tommy Blancha to reprise his role as both Murderface and Toki.
Toki, tell us about being rescued by your own band after being abducted.
Well, I can't. Not really. It's just that Toki. I'm happy to be back with his brothers.
Don't touch.
Much like Phantasm, this movie would see a massive upgrade in production compared to the original show, showing the love and hard work put into finally giving the fans the ending they were waiting for. Before we move to answering the question of who did it better, I should make a side note that along with the new movies, Adult Swim and WB would also release complete series box sets, all of which would be criticized in various ways. The Aqua Teen box set would finally see the release of previous unreleased seasons of the show, coming to DVD for the first time. However, it would also remove a previously released episode from the set, titled Shake Like Me. The episode sees Master Shake being bitten by a radioactive black man and turning black himself.
Fry man and the hizzy with the shizzy.
Shake?
Come here, yo. I got a complicated handshake I want to try out. Oh, for real, y'all.
If you looked at yourself in the mirror, you look different.
I feel you. Check this out. Rim! I put a spell on them hoes, y'all. I'm hell on them hoes, y'all.
The episode would previously be removed from streaming services and broadcast rotations during the 2-week period where the internet pretended to care about depictions of blackface in older media, despite many of the instances used not to disparage black people, but to make fun of the practice itself. But this is the internet we're talking about, so nuance is not really a factor here. Curiously, the episode Buddy Nugget would make its DVD debut in this set, despite also depicting blackface in it, even calling out the practice by name.
I sound like Flav.
You're white!
I know that, but this is my tribute to Public Enemy and their message of racial empowerment.
Really? Blackface?
Well, yeah, if you're gonna say it like that, it sounds bad.
But whatever, I guess. The Venture Brothers set would be criticized for being a DVD-only release, despite the majority of the series, save for the first 2 seasons, being released previously on Blu-ray. This is doubly frustrating seeing that season 6 of the show is out of print in both DVD and Blu-ray, so the only reason, if you hadn't bought it before, to truly get a complete version of the show is to get this set, and again, only on DVD. The Metalocalypse set would receive the same criticism as the Venture Brothers set, as half of the series had already been released on Blu-ray. But the biggest failure of the set was the supposed advertising that the set included the Doomstar Requiem special, which had never received a proper physical release in the States. The only way to get it would have been a long out-of-print release in Australia. However, when certain customers started receiving their copies early from various retailers, it was discovered that the set did not actually include the special in question. When this was discovered, the set was bombarded with negative reviews, and it was quickly pulled from Amazon. A new set is advertised to be released in October, supposedly with the special now included on it. However, as of the time of this writing, no efforts have seemingly been made to offer any kind of exchange or recall for people who had already bought the incomplete set. As for ranking the movies themselves, these thoughts and opinions are my own, and should be taken as such, but if I had to give the winner to one, it would be Army of the Doomstar. Chalk it up to recency bias or my own experience going to the live show, but this movie was the culmination of everything Brendan Small and his team were working towards from the very beginning, and something the fans were waiting for a long time, and it delivered. It could be argued that if the series had not been canceled the way that it did, we may not have gotten the ending quite this good, but Adult Swim also didn't need to put as many obstacles as possible in the show's way. While I adored Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart, it was simply more Venture Brothers, which of course is an amazing thing, but it didn't really add anything new. It didn't take away from anything either, mind you. It was the best it could possibly be given the circumstances. As for Phantasm, I've already made my thoughts clear on this movie, and that it seems like a poorly thought out cash grab. But if the cash grab helped in any way in the continuation of Venture Brothers and Metalocalypse, I'll take it. If you have your own thoughts about the movies, or perhaps disagree with any of my thoughts and rankings, please feel free to comment below. In the meantime, this is The One Nerd, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.